Live from the Scripps Studios, this is 10 News.
Hurricane Durian is now a Category 2 storm, gaining strength as it barrels toward Florida and Georgia tonight. It could strengthen to a Category 4 by the time it makes landfall, threatening to be the most powerful hurricane to hit Florida's East Coast in decades. Good evening, I'm Kimberly Hunt.
And I'm Steve Atkinson. We have team coverage of the storm's track and preparations for the holiday weekend hit. We start with ABC's Megan Tavrezian in Daytona Beach.
Hurricane Durian gaining strength over the open waters of the Atlantic. Forecasters now saying when it makes landfall, it could be a catastrophic Category 4 and one of the worst storms to hit the east coast of Florida in decades.
This is potentially a catastrophic storm in terms of both wind and surge.
Florida's governor declaring a state of emergency, telling people the time to prepare is now.
You should have 7 days of food and medicine and water.
Good morning.
People loading up on supplies. Some gas stations so busy they're running out of fuel.
Just getting prepared before the storm comes. Just want to protect against what's coming.
Florida airports are securing equipment, the military safeguarding planes, the Coast Guard strapping down boats. More than 17 million people, nearly the entire state of Florida, in the cone of uncertainty. Mass evacuations are likely.
It's mind-boggling because nobody knows exactly where this storm's going.
President Trump canceling a trip to Poland, staying in Washington to monitor the storm, and the Rolling Stones rescheduling a concert on Saturday in Florida to Friday so fans can attend before the storm hits. Megan Tavrezian, ABC News, Daytona Beach, Florida.
And our 10 News weather anchor Jenna Delo Cruz joins us now with team coverage tracking where Dorian is right now.
Right now, not looking too bad, Steve, but certainly overnight we're going to see some big changes into tomorrow. As of right now, still a Category 2 storm just north of Puerto Rico. Winds right now 105 miles per hour. Those will be strengthening overnight, moving pretty slow for a hurricane, 12 miles per hour, which means that the flooding caused by the rainfall certainly can be catastrophic. By tomorrow, a Category 3 and then strengthening even more so into a Category 4 storm by the time Saturday rolls around. Those warm waters through the tropics certainly giving it the fuel that it needs. Sunday and Monday going to be the worst days for Florida as far as the impacts go between storm surge and certainly all of that rainfall and that wind speed stretching out far from the center. So even if you're not in the direct path of the storm, those impacts are going to be felt up and down the Atlantic seaboard. Rain futurecast is going to be strengthening as we continue just that hard rain falling even more so through the middle of the week and into the weekend. So certainly not good timing with this holiday weekend. And we're going to keep an eye on this. We could certainly still see a lot of changes here. I'm tracking changes here back at home as well coming up in your 7-day forecast.
All right, we'll see you a little bit later. Thank you, Jen. 10 News will continue to push out developments with Dorian through the 10 News mobile app. You can download it in the App Store.
All right, happening right now, crews are monitoring hot spots in the North County where a brush fire started this afternoon. That fire off of Del Dios Highway burned less than 3 acres, but threatened homes that have faced fires before. Our 10 News reporter Travis Rice explains what made today's firefight easier than most.
Good evening. Neighbors who live on this hillside going to bed relieved tonight because CAL FIRE helped spare their home from the fire. However, firefighters are thanking them for having their home ready.
It's a one-drop shop for the fire in Del Dios.
The airdrop made a huge difference.
CAL FIRE making quick work of the Toyon fire, but also crediting the homeowners for being prepared.
But also making a huge difference was the defensible space that the homeowners had in place. That helped us out tremendously.
These guys are amazing. By the time I heard about the fire, it was out.
Chad Robinson lives in one of the homes that was threatened by the fire.
It's very scary. I'm like 2 weeks away from having my fire sprinkler system set up, and so I just knew that it was going to get to our house because that's how it works, right?
He says anytime CAL FIRE sends out a letter about fire prep, he and the other neighbors take heed.
Everybody around here, we know we're in the fire corridor, so keep all the big vegetation as far away as you can.
Thursday's event stoking memories of the witch fire for those who lived here in 2007. Robinson says the new char in the front yard can join fellow company.
Apparently our house has been through quite a few fires. It's got char marks, and all the palm trees around our house have these char rings about.
CAL FIRE is, of course, still investigating the cause of the fire. However, they do say that there is a very good chance that this was started by a human being in some capacity. In Del Dios, Travis Rice, 10 News.
New video of a dramatic drug bust on the open seas.
Hands up, hands up, put your hands up.
That's an interceptor team from the new Coast Guard cutter Robert Ford. Its first mission was to battle drug smugglers in the eastern Pacific. The cutter returned to San Pedro today with big bales of cocaine. It has a street value of more than $38 million.
We want to prevent it as much as possible, and we want to put the bad guys on their heels.
The seized cocaine weighed roughly 2,800 pounds.
A U.S. Coast Guardsman could be tried for murder here in San Diego. Right now, Seaman Ethan Tucker is being held at the brig at Miramar. He's charged with the death of a fellow Coast Guardsman in January. Documents say that Tucker hit Ethan Kelch in the head and then left him to die on the Alaskan shore. Both were stationed on a cutter out of Alameda. The Coast Guard hasn't yet decided where Tucker's trial will take place, but a grand jury hearing is scheduled here in the coming months.
The bottleneck at the border may not be over. It could take days before Mexican officials can completely repair the problem, which led to this brutal backup at the Otay Mesa port of entry. 10 News reporter Anthony Pura spoke with drivers caught off guard by the hours-long delay.
Crawling towards the border, commercial truck drivers on the 905 headed into Mexico, forced to wait for hours. 8:23. This man started driving at 8 in the morning, only to be stuck in the thick of it. CHP traffic cameras captured the gridlock at its worst. Truck after truck lining up and going nowhere fast.
3 hours, one mile.
Hours when it normally only takes about 30 minutes to cross this border bottleneck due to a technical issue. The software system went down on the Mexican side Wednesday. The issue got worse Thursday, and port of entry officials don't know when the problem will be fully fixed. Drivers prepared for the worst, knowing frustration isn't going to fix the problem.
Because I've been driving for 30 years, so I know these things happens once in a while, so it's not a big deal for me.
In Otay Mesa, Anthony Pura, 10 News.
A $3,000 reward is being offered for any information leading to the arrest of whomever shot at a temple in Del Cerro. Staff at the Temple Emmanuel found a wall in one of their classrooms just riddled with bullet holes. Fortunately, no one was in the building at the time of the shooting. And this comes just months after the deadly synagogue shooting in Poway.
We cannot hide from the bad guys. We have to go out and live our lives. You know, hate is on the rise. Last year there was a 27% increase in hate incidents against the Jewish community. We can't just hide in our homes.
The temple will now be putting in new security measures.
A City Heights man is trying to find the two men who he says brutally attacked him after verbally abusing him with anti-gay slurs. Marco Aguirre started recording from his car after he says he accidentally bumped into the parked car behind him. He says the two men got out of the car and began to accost him, screaming anti-gay slurs. We blurred their faces because they are not charged with the crime. Aguirre says after 15 minutes, he got out of his car to see if there was any damage. And that's when he says one of the men grabbed his phone, smashed it to the ground, and punched him in the face.
I need to take a stand. This is my neighborhood, and I don't want to feel threatened in my own neighborhood.
Police are investigating.
Tense moments at a South Bay library today as two groups of protesters confronted each other. The battle is over a program 10 News told you about Tuesday called Drag Queen Story Hour.
You are a bigot because you want to shut me down just like you're trying to do right now. You are a bigot. This is the hatred we're dealing with.
It got heated, but moments later, police stepped in to keep protesters apart at the Chula Vista Civic Library. Drag Queen Story Hour brings drag performers to read to children. The goal is to promote tolerance. But a group called Mass Resistance arrived to protest today. That group is considered a hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center.
A 50-year-old woman is in grave condition after falling 70 feet from a cliff in San Pedro. It's not known at this time what caused her to plunge from the bluff onto the rocky shore below. Firefighters hoisted the woman into a helicopter and took her to a trauma center. They say she was conscious, but she has suffered severe head trauma.
We have a health alert tonight. There are confirmed cases of tuberculosis at San Ysidro High and 2 Navy ships. Students and staff at San Ysidro High may have been exposed from January the 16th to May 31st. And the Navy is working to inform employees about possible exposure on the USS Bonhomme Richard from January 10th through June the 8th. And the USS Macon Island from March 23rd to July the 18th. Symptoms of TB include persistent cough, fever, and night sweats.